Okay, today we're going to talk about writing linear equations and graphing them, and we have such a thing as called standard form. This is the example of what standard form will look like. A, B, and C represent numbers. X and Y then are the variables. So there's a few restrictions on this. A must be greater than or equal to 0. So usually we think of that meaning that it has to be positive, even though 0 is not positive and it can be equal to 0. A and B both can't be 0. So in other words, if A is 0, the X term would be gone, and if B is 0, the Y term would be gone. Well, they can't both be gone. You could be missing an X or a Y, but not both of them. You cannot have fractions in standard form. Now you can have a linear equation that has a fraction and it just wouldn't be in standard form, and the greatest common factor is 1, so nothing else goes into them other than 1. So we're going to see if some things are in standard form. So, is it linear, first off? And if yes, put in standard form. And linear means it will be a straight line when you graph it. And so to be a straight line, you can have an x and a y. You can have either an x or a y, but you can't have powers of them, or you can't have a fraction like 1 over x. So this looks like a linear equation, so let's see if we can put it in standard form. So remember, standard form again is ax plus by equals c with those restrictions. So we got to get x and y on the left side. So I would add 2x to each side. And I do want the 2x first, so I'm going to write 2x plus y equals 5. Does that look like standard form? Ax plus by equals c? Yes, go through those things. A, which is 2 in this case, is greater than or equal to 0. X and y are both there, so nothing's 0 there. No fractions, nothing goes into 2, 1, and 5. So this is yes, it is a linear equation, and now it is in standard form. Is this a linear equation? Well, it has x times y, so this is automatically a no. So that would not be a linear equation, so we can't put it in standard form, so we would be done with that. All right, is this one a linear equation in standard form? Well, it looks very much like standard form, so yes, it is a linear equation. And is it in standard form? Almost. What goes into 3, 9, and 15? 3 will. So we need to divide them all by 3 to get that x plus 3y equal 5 would be in standard form. Is this in standard form? No, it's not. First off, is it a linear equation? Well, it does have a y, so yes, I think it is a linear equation. It's not in standard form because it's got a fraction, so we want to get rid of the 1/3 so we can multiply both sides by 3 and get y equals -3. And that is a linear equation because we do have a y. They're both not gone. To graph, we're going to talk about different ways to graph, but right now we're going to graph by making a chi chart. But usually we want the y by itself first. So I'm going to subtract x from each side and get 2y equals 6 minus x, and then divide by 2. And I can write this two different ways. Okay, I can write it as 6, it's supposed to be a y over here, sorry, as y equals 6 minus x over 2, or since 6 divided by 2, I could write it as 3 minus x over 2. So I don't care which way you choose to write it. Now in this case, it does not give me any values for x. Sometimes you're going to be given values for x and you would put them in. Here we get to choose. So we want to kind of choose wisely. We see we're going to be dividing by 2, so it would be wise to choose even numbers. So I'm going to choose a 0. If I put a 0 in here for x, 0 divided by 2 is just 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. Now I'm going to choose a 2, so if I put a 2 in here, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. If I put a 4 in there, I'm going to get 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. Sometimes it's nice to put a negative number, but I want you to have at least 3 values. So then we are going to graph these 3 values. I think I have a graph in my next slide. Oops, guess I don't. So let's go back one. So now I want to graph these. So I'm going to make my graph right here. And I'll make my little XY table back again since I lost it. It was 0, 3, 2, 2, 4, 1. So 0, don't go anywhere right. I'll have to go up 3, would be right there. 2, 2, right 2, up 2 would be right there. And 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And so this is a linear equation, so it should be, not very straight, but a straight line. Oops, missed my 1 point. Like that. So there's my linear equation. And make sure you put the arrows on the end. And if you do graph more than one on a graph, like we would number it number 1 or something like that. X and Y intercepts. Well, if we think about what that word means, we have a line here. The x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis, so it would be that point right there. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Well, when it crosses the x-axis, what do we know about the y-coordinate? We know that the y will always be equal to 0. And in the reverse, when it crosses the y-axis, the x-coordinate will be 0. So if I want to find the x-intercept, I'm going to let y be 0. So if I come over here and put a 0 in there, that's going to be gone. I'm left with 3x equal 9, so divide by 3, x equal 3. So that would be my x-intercept. If I want to know the y-intercept, I let x equal 0. So I'm going to come over here and make this 0, so I'm going to get 2y equal 9, divide by 2, y equals 9 halves, which if I'm going to graph this, I probably need to change it to 4.5. Does not tell me to graph it, but if I did want to graph it, I'm just going to kind of sketch it. X is 3, so I go over 1, 2, 3 and put a dot. And y is 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 and put a dot. And then I would have my 2 points that I could draw my line through. Kind of a sloppy graph. I don't have my arrows on everything, but just so you get the point now, I probably have